It's The Log. I'm Charles Bursell. Day 3 of our 5-day holiday here, our unnamed holiday. We mark it from solstice to Christmas Day, 21st through the 25th. So light the third candle tonight. Still don't have a good name for this holiday. We got to come up with something. So trying to keep in the spirit here of the holidays, but... Sorry, there's my big but. You know, we all really wanted to just put the Orange Menace behind us. Speaking of big butts, we just, once it was over, we had election night, we had a couple of days just to make sure, is this really real? Yes, it is. And then on that beautiful Saturday, we all danced in the streets. And from that moment forward, many of us, myself included, really wanted to put him in our rearview mirror. All right, let the courts take care of him. Let the historians take care of him. Let's just be done with this guy. Well, it didn't quite work out that way. There's a whole list of stories that go beyond the Trump obsession that we all had for 4+ years. It's not just that. It's not that we can't just break this obsession. It's that he's really legitimately making news that we need to know about. And as much as that pains us, it's true. We just have to face the fact. I mean, every day there's something new. And for the most part, for the most part, I'm thinking back now, we've been kind of ignoring it. I see it in the news. I'll take note of it, but you and I really haven't spoken much about it. Well, the very latest now is, and of course he communicates only by tweet. He sent out the royal tweet last night that he doesn't like the COVID bill. And he's demanding $2,000 checks for every American. Which, of course, that sounds great to us. Some of the Democrats, the high-profile Democrats, have responded positively to that. Nancy Pelosi said, sure, let's do it. Let's make it happen. One of the candidates in Georgia, I forget which one, said, okay, yeah. So, of course, $2,000 is a lot better than $600, which is what's in the bill. $2,000 for every man, woman, and child sounds good to me, too. Of course, he's doing it for all the wrong reasons, but who cares what the reasons are? Of course, he also objects to other things in the bill that he just obviously doesn't understand. He wants to take out so much of the spending, especially, oh my God, he can't stand any kind of foreign aid. There's some provisions in there to help other countries get the vaccine up and running, which is a perfectly reasonable and the right thing to do. But he doesn't like that. So there's all sorts of things he doesn't like in the bill. So he's threatening not to sign it. and you know how bills become laws, right? I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. It's only a bill so far. President's got to sign it. Of course, they can override. Congress can, if he decides to veto this bill. They've got the numbers. Well, at least they had the numbers in the original votes yesterday that were very lopsided. It remains to be seen if it actually gets that far, who might or might not change their votes. So, right until the bitter end. It's 4 weeks from today, everybody. 4 weeks, 28 days to January 20th, Inauguration Day. Oh, if you're somebody who worries about life passing you by too fast, and as you get older, time moves more quickly, this has solved that problem. I have never experienced time moving more slowly than it has since that Saturday when we danced in the streets. Lord mercy, time is moving slowly. And we still have 28 days for him to wreak havoc, which is exactly what he's doing. So I wish him luck on this $2,000 for every American idea he's got. Of course, he completely stayed out of the process of the negotiations. He completely stayed out of it because it's not his thing to be a president, to actually govern, to participate. No, he doesn't do that. He's never done that. So he had nothing to do with these negotiations. He never weighed in about any of it for 6 months. And now it comes to his desk and he decides to mouth off. Oh, this guy. So, yeah, good luck on the 2000. That's great. I hope we get it. Fine. But, of course, this is just one example of many ways he's trying to wrench up the works here. And, of course, he doesn't give a damn about any of us. The 2000 per person is just for his own aggrandizement. We all know that. But, yeah, the damage the guy can still do in 28 days. And I'll take this opportunity to once again plead with Bobblehead Mike and the current White House cabinet, invoke the 25th Amendment today, escort him out of the Oval Office today. I don't care that it's only 28 days. It's 28 days. There's no only about it. Congress, impeach him again. There's no sitting around. There's no waiting out this guy. He's still president. Invoke the 25th Amendment. And yes, he can appeal, but this is all a process. And with only 4 weeks to go, taking him out today would be taking him out forever. There's no way you get through the process of appeals and decisions in 4 weeks. So if you have an ounce of integrity, if you care one whit about your legacy, about your place in history, Bobblehead Mike, do the right thing. You need the majority of the cabinet to sign on. So, Pompeo at State, Attorney General Bootlicker Bill Barr, come on, man. Let's have an 11th hour last chance at redemption here. Do the right thing. Let's see, who else might get in on this? Ben Carson, still arranging the furniture in his office, I think, but poke your head out. Do the right thing. Don't have much hope for Betsy DeVos over at Education. But come on here, ladies and gentlemen, let's do this. Remove the guy. And why? Because he's doing actual damage. When the President of the United States is consulting with his top advisors about a literal military intervention to override an election, this is more than a headline on the evening news. I don't care that it's only 4 weeks to go. If it was 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week, 1 day, I would be saying the same thing. Impeach the guy. Remove him with the 25th Amendment. Well, they convinced him that declaring martial law might backfire on him, and then he ought not do it. At least they convinced him for a couple of days here. Who knows where he's going? I mean, reports are telling us. I mean, these headlines. Is he losing his mind? This is not hyperbole. This is quite literal. He had a group of Republican House members in for a meeting the other day, and they're planning their strategy for January 6th. That, of course, is the day when the joint session of Congress officially counts the electoral votes and makes it official. And we've talked about it here. He's going to gum up the works. Now, all the experts tell us that their plan cannot end successfully. In other words, they're not going to overturn the election. Joe Biden will be inaugurated on the 20th. But he's not convinced of that. And apparently, he's got members of the House and a couple senators lined up to do his bidding on January 6th. Again, experts and historians are telling us, well, no, there's really nothing he can do. But every time they talk to a reporter, it's with a little uncomfortable laugh and a shrug. Well, we don't think he can do anything. But the bottom line is always, well, who knows what he's capable of? Who knows what he'll try, what he'll attempt? And even though they're right, he can't do it all on his own. He's all about drumming up support. And he's got a disturbingly high number of folks supporting him. How many was it? 126 members of the House Republican caucus signed on to that letter, calling on the Supreme Court to literally overturn the election. They were supporting that Texas case against the 4 swing states. 126 House members signed on for that. And all the while, day after day, his absolute literal refusal to actually be a president results in another 3,000 deaths due to COVID every single damn day. He continues to be Russia's biggest defender. We've been following the story for the last week or so on this massive hack this cyber attack. And as some commentators have pointed out, in the old days, you want to start a war, you fly over and you drop bombs on key strategic buildings that deal with infrastructure and communications, energy. Well, that's exactly what they did. What they did was precisely a modern-day equivalent of attempting to sabotage the nation's infrastructure, quite literally. And the President of the United States not only does nothing, but literally gives comfort and support to the perpetrators, inviting them to continue, or any adversary. Come on in, guys. Open invitation. Attack us. Fear no reprisal. Yeah, the guy is so obsessed with Russia. And I honestly don't know if it's the chicken or the egg here. In other words, one argument goes that he's just completely pissed off about the accusations that Russia helped his 2016 campaign, that anytime Russia comes up, that's all he thinks about. Well, you guys are just trying to delegitimize my presidency. So that's why Russia can do no wrong. So that's the chicken. Or the egg, he really did have something to do with Russia. Well, I lied. I do know if it's chicken or the egg. It's the egg. There's very good reason to suspect him of colluding with Russia, of hiding political and financial ties with Russia. So he's not only hiding his relationship, but what is that relationship? Well, it's one of business. It's one of mutual gain. It's one of indebtedness. So that's why he can say nothing, ever. Which, I mean, we've gone 4+ years of nothing but Helsinki day after day after day, of him taking the side of Russia against his own military and intelligence subordinates. He's the damn president of the United States for 28 more days, and he's literally inviting foreign attack. There is no exaggeration in what I'm saying. There is no hyperbole in this. It's a literal fact. All while ignoring, even hastening, the death of thousands of Americans daily due to COVID. Poisoning a substantial cohort of the American electorate, creating a Jim Jones-style cult against democracy. He's been a fascist and a racist and an authoritarian from the beginning, but he's taking that into hyperdrive with his support of once fringe elements that are now part of the American political landscape. QAnon, Proud Boys, the domestic terrorists who stormed the Capitol in Michigan yesterday. Yeah, it doesn't take much imagination, does it, to fear what he might do in the next 28 days. We've been really hard on Bootlicker Bill Barr on this program. But today is his last day. And he did, in the end, draw the line, at least, on this all-out assault on the election results. And now, as the incoming acting Attorney General, will Jeffrey Rosen cross that line that Bill Barr wouldn't cross? Will he help the Orange Menace turn his fever dream into a reality? And if he doesn't, if he's not willing to play along, to use the power of the Justice Department to assist in this little coup, if he doesn't go along, well, who's to say the Orange Menace won't just fire him and just keep naming new AGs until he finds the one who will do his bidding, a la the Saturday Night Massacre of Nixon fame. Of course, I hate to bring up Nixon or any other president when talking about the Orange Menace because everything he's doing is literally unprecedented. I just heard a report last night where they were talking to an historian who said, well, the first thing they teach you in historian school, if you want to be an historian, don't ever use the word unprecedented, because it just means you haven't looked hard enough. There's always something in history that will compare, that will draw parallels. So avoid that word. But he said, in this case, I'm sorry. He said, I'm tapped out. There's nothing that compares with this guy and what we're going through right now. And now today we get the headlines of the pardons. And every president pardons a bunch of people at the end. There's nothing new about this. And some of it is kind of creepy and unsavory. But nobody pardoned William Calley for the My Lai massacre. You know, that didn't happen. But the Orange Menace just pardoned the Blackwater Guards who were convicted for that massacre in Baghdad. I mean, it's just repugnant, repulsive, just disgusting. Of all the weird little pardons you can choose, this is where you go? Pardoning war criminals. Also pardoned the son-in-law of a Russian billionaire, part of the Mueller investigation. So yeah, his pardons are all either conspicuously kind of disgusting or go back to himself and the Russia thing. So it's this son-in-law of a Russian billionaire caught up in the Mueller investigation. It's George Snuffleupagus, White House advisor, also convicted and now pardoned of his role colluding with Russians. It's just an everyday drip by drip with this guy. And on a pretty regular basis, he'll turn up the spigot, and it's just a gusher of bad news, of dangerous, scary news. After 4 years of corruption and graft, enriching himself and his buddies, using every lever of government to attack the natural environment and workers for the benefit of the corporate and investing class, to attack immigrants, people of color, the poor, to appease and win the favor of his ignorant, racist base of voters. For 4 years, we've watched him undermine the norms of American democracy. And all of this just accelerated into a fever pitch after he lost the election. He literally says, I won this election by a lot, in a landslide. And that Joe Biden and the Democrats somehow were able to steal it through cheating and corruption. This is what he says. This is what people believe. And by many accounts, some reporters and analysts are saying, yeah, we think he believes this as well. We think he honestly, actually believes it. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but it kind of doesn't make a difference. If he doesn't believe it, if it's just an outlandish lie, well, he should be removed today. We shouldn't wait 28 days. And if he does believe it, well, then he's gone quite literally mad, and he should be removed today. So either way you slice this thing. And another thing that comes out in the news almost on a daily basis is some update from a previous story. For example, Louis DeJoy, who was making the headlines a couple of months ago, of course, the top guy at the Postal Service, accused of colluding with the White House to literally sabotage his department, to slow down the mail, removing huge sorting apparatus from facilities, literally removing public mailboxes from the streets, piling them up in vacant lots. We saw the pictures. Well, now the latest little update here, that somebody filed a Freedom of Information, a FOIA request, and got his calendar. They were forced to release the calendar. When he said, oh no, I haven't been meeting with the president or with White House staff, or no, I haven't been. Well, the calendar that they released is redacted. And this happens on FOIA requests. You get your documents, and some of it is redacted. That's common. It's 100% redacted. I'm looking at one page here from November 5th, 2020. 10:15 to 11 o'clock, meeting. Details redacted. 11 to 11:45, meeting. Redacted. 11:45, meeting. Redacted. It just goes on and on. Every single meeting, which continue throughout the day until 7 o'clock that evening, 100% redacted. And every page, page after page, of this calendar released through FOIA request, redacted. How does that not confirm in your mind that he was up to no good? So every day there's a story like this. There's the story that came and went a couple of weeks ago about the bribes for pardons. Some pretty credible reporting about some pretty clear requests, offers of paid pardons. We've got whistleblowers confirming White House tactics regarding the protests over the summer. We got the incredible story of this shell company that Jared Kushner set up, funneling hundreds of millions of dollars to the family. I mean, every day. As he reaches the end of his road here, he's just accelerating to the end. He's not slowing down to stop. You know, you pull into your driveway, you slow down and stop, right? No, he's gunning it. He's just going to crash right through the garage door here with this thing. And he's just leaving nothing on the table, to mix a few more metaphors here. In this last minute trash the place before I leave effort, reducing food safety measures, protections for worker injuries on the job, he finally got what he wanted. Remember at his rallies, he keep talking about toilets that he had to flush 10 times? And weak shower sprays. Remember that? I always thought about that Seinfeld episode where Kramer and Newman buy the bootleg shower nozzles. Yeah, he finally got that. That was about regulations regarding water systems and waste. So, you know, just basic good government, sensible regulations. So he achieved that before he walks out the door. As president, he just has a lot of damn power. That's just the way it works. Rules, regulations, every agency in the executive branch, he can just fill their books with his own outrageous whims. And he's doing it just because he can. Just because his own bloated, tremendous ego demands that he leave his mark indelibly on every inch of the place. And of course, the other side of that coin is that he makes it as difficult as possible for the incoming administration to attempt to undo this mess he's created. I mean, when he tried to get any of this stuff through Congress, when he tried to get any of it through the courts, he lost every time. He's the biggest loser in American history. But now he's surrounded himself, and we've watched this process happen over the course of his administration as well. Anybody won't do exactly what he wants, gets fired, brings in somebody new. If they don't give him exactly what he wants, fired. Until now, he's winnowed this down to White House and agency staffs who will just do his bidding. And they're the ones who know how to get it done. They understand his grand vision. And that's all he's got. That's all he's ever had, is this general idea of how anything I touch, everything I command, must reflect my own disdain for freedom and fairness, and must instead display his own crass worldview of greed and one-upsmanship. A world where the winners beat the losers, and the losers can just suck it. A financial world where the monarchs of money make all the rules. A political world that thwarts democracy at every turn. And now with his team of loyalists that it's taken him years to assemble, they're taking it right to the finish line. Sure, as we've said many times, he's not governing personally. He's just obsessing about how to keep his power. Oh, but he's got his little team hard at work every day, right to the end, making it easier for industry to pollute, making it harder for asylum seekers to escape tyranny and hardship, bolstering his little Gestapo contingency, ICE, CBP, the rest. Mentioned earlier, food safety, workers' safety, land leases, Arctic drilling. It just goes on and on and on. And now he takes it right down to the wire, and he wants to stamp his big old ego footprint on this COVID bill, trying to buy a little love with his $2,000 suggestion. And then with the other hand, strip away the initiatives that don't necessarily align with his brand. And so to close this conversation today, again, I didn't want to have to talk about this guy anymore. I wish that we could just stop. But he's still there, and he's still got a great deal of power. He still has an incredible ability to do damage before he leaves in these last 4 weeks. So I say get him out. Impeach. 25th Amendment. Whatever it takes. Throw the book at him. Do it today. Do it today. And short of that, looking ahead to 4 weeks from today, well, he faces a myriad of legal challenges. Best case scenario, he's in an orange jumpsuit before too long, behind bars where he belongs. I mean, he's got to live somewhere. Did you see the story the other day about how the neighbors of Mar-a-Lago down in Florida don't want him there? And they're actually filing a suit because apparently he signed a document at one point saying that Mar-a-Lago cannot be used as a permanent residence, that he himself cannot use it as a permanent residence. It's in black and white. It looks like they got a pretty good case. So he can't live there. Yeah, nobody wants him. Nobody wants him as a neighbor. Maybe he'll go to Russia. Somebody pointed out, I thought it was kind of clever, insightful. If Trump can't live full-time at Mar-a-Lago due to an agreement he signed that doesn't allow him to use it as his residence, but he used it when he voted, isn't that voter fraud? Yeah. Did he register as a voter? We know for sure he registered in Florida. Did he use the Mar-a-Lago address? And then, because I want to leave with a smile on my face and hopefully with one on yours, my favorite story of the week. Atlantic City is going to blow up the old casino. Of course, the Orange Menace went belly up with that casino. Bankruptcy, one of several. Well, Atlantic City is going to blow the thing up. And that's always kind of fun to watch a building be imploded. But here's the beauty of this story. They're auctioning off the right. They're auctioning off the right to push the button to set off the explosives. Implode Trump Plaza for charity is the headline on Bodner's auction sales website. Quote, once in a lifetime opportunity. So if you bid on this, let's see, the current bid, at least this was from last week, $53,000 someone has bid. All proceeds from the auction will benefit the Boys and Girls Club of Atlantic City. So yeah, if you win the bidding on this, 9 days after Inauguration Day, so the 29th of January, you could push the button and blow it up. I love this story. I just love this story. It's just an old crummy shell of a building. It's falling apart on its own. It's not that old. It was built in 1984. But of course, it's a piece of junk. The Orange Menace ran it into the ground, and now the building is going to be imploded. And if you've got $53,000, or if you can top that bid, you can push the button. All right, with that, let's call it a day. Tomorrow's Christmas Eve. How about that? All right. We'll have to start feeling a little more Christmassy, shall we? We'll see what we can do for you tomorrow. Till then, have a wonderful day. You know I love you. I'm Charles Purcell.